you're a lovely audience. I said that before I start, just to. I'll do a test because just to show you how much I like to be here, how important it is to me, the job I'm doing, and to spread that to the rest of the dental world. Today is my wife's birthday. So now there's a time change. It's not 2 in the morning, it's 5 in the afternoon, luckily. I'll call her, and if you could join me in singing happy birthday to you, okay? See if she's in. This is a crucial point. I hope she's in. Hello? Oh, hello. Hello? Did you hear that?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Daniela, this is your husband.
Hallå?
Hallå, can you hear me? Hör du mig?
Jag hör dig.
Can you hear the others too? So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Daniela. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very, very, very much.
She doesn't speak English. Var det en överraskning? Was that a surprise?
Ja, herregud Bobbie, så många som säger sådär till mig. Jag vill bara gråta.
I just want to cry. Thank you. Now go on with whatever you're doing. Bye. I'll call you later.
Ska du prata nu?
Ja.
Lycka till, gubben.
Thank you. Good job, Bobbie. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Now I'll start what I'm here for. There are some pop-ups that I don't know how to get rid of them, but they keep coming up. So why should we abandon titanium implants and put bioceramics instead? There are various obvious things that you can have that gives answer to that question. That, for instance, the color, if you can see the difference between, I put a zirconia implant beside a titanium implant, and you can see the color of the gum around the zirconia implant is healthy and rosy, and around the titanium implants, I won't say it's not healthy, but it's different. Under thin gum and thin bone, you can see the grayish shadow of the metal implant. Instead, the still white zirconia implant gives a healthy color to the gum. In the future, you'll probably have zirconia implants colored too, and that's a question that's to be discussed because, as we know, the colors of the ceramics are metal oxides, and not all metal oxides are stable. So it could be a thing to look into. This is also to see the difference of the gum behavior between zirconia implant and where you can see the, this is better, where the gum sort of grows up on the surface of the zirconia, and on the titanium implant you can see this shadow again. And even when you put the crown on it, the gum around the ceramic crown is really natural. But here you can see the grayish color that you also have when you have metal ceramic crowns, for instance. Now, historically, implants are it's nothing new. The oldest we know of that we found is 3,000 years old. That's found in Honduras, and the implants are made of shell. There are three implants here, and it's also obvious from the structure of the bone that there's been an implant success. The Etruscs in Italy used pig teeth. One is missing to make an gold bands supported implant. Then you have a lot of fantastic drawings of implants that surely remain drawings, like this one, for instance, which is that's the bone, the jawbone of the mandibula, and I don't know how the drawer here fancied to get the disc into the bone first and then screw in the implant. That's a trick that remains a drawing. Then you have the link of blades. Those are still in use and supposed to be used where there's a very thin bone. And then some others, there are various implants that have been realized and used too, like this one, for instance, which I've taken out myself. This lady had this thread implant made 20 years ago, and the bone has vanished around the implant. It was just the implant was held in place by the bridge. So when I separated the crown from the rest of the bridge, this is what it looked like. And she said she still, after 20 years, remember the bang when the doctor hammered the threads into the bone, and she would not do that again. So we had to put in zirconium implants instead. This one is another a beautiful design, but also a bit too technical. I think it remains of a rifle instead of implants. So the modern history of implants is in the Talentum of Farmagini in Italy started to use these thread implants. You have the chrome cobalt alloy implants in the 1948, and the blade vent that Linkov designed. And then you also have acrylic implants and other materials. Today they are trying to find biocompatible composite that is that you could use instead of metals like acetalic or composite, but that's still on the research level. So in 1970, the corundum has been used. It was crystallized mineral of aluminum oxide. The noble corundum is sapphire or rubin. That's a red, very nice red stone. That's in fact an alpha aluminum oxide. And implants in this material was made by Kyocera Corporation in Japan with the name of Bioceram. And there's a very nice study made in the 80s by two Swedish doctors that put in some 100 of these implants, and they got a very nice result. The only thing is that corundum, being an aluminum oxide, is a bit fragile. And the other implants in aluminum oxide tested during this period was CBS and Serosand, which Professor Samuel Sandhaus in Lausanne made them out of this material. And Professor Schulte in Tübingen developed this Freelit Tübinger implant, which was a aluminum oxide implant that was used for some years, but it was it was constructed like an implant where you cemented a post in the middle, and with the hole in the middle of the ceramic implant, it got fragile. It could break, so it was taken out of production. Although it stuck good to the bone. So Professor Sandhaus created his first Zirconia implants in '84, and he made them still in the same way with 2 pieces, and he called them Sigma. And then after, that was the only Zirconia implants in the market for nearly 15 years. And then they started in Germany again to develop the modern Zirconia implant, which is made in 1 piece. And you gain a lot of properties in that way. If you make it in 1 piece, you get rid of the interface between the implant and the post, where the bacteria can thrive. Even if it's very good seal, they try to seal it with anything like zirconium. You make the platform switch model where the post is smaller than the implant, so the bacteria won't reach the bone and the gum. And you also have the stability of the implant post junction. If you have just 1 piece, it doesn't break. With the post and an implant and the screw, you always have the problems with the screw that unscrew itself under the bridge, and you have to take it all the way, change the screw, change the post, and so on. So mechanically, there's a lot of very good things about a one-body implant. The new ones on the market are various Zeta Systems, White Sky, Zero Root from Spain, Citerion in Germany, Biocirc, Bobson, and others. Does anybody know how I get rid of this Protect Tool security manager that comes annoying me every 5 minutes? I tried to strike the annulla, which is cancel.
You can translate it to English maybe later, yeah.
Wow.
We'll talk later. I have an Italian lab.
Can you still hear me? Okay. Now, the particularity with zirconium dioxide is that the ceramic implants and everything in ceramic has the reputation of being fragile. I mean, you drop a plate on the floor and it breaks, or a cup, or the cup loses its air. And, so a ceramic is equal as something that is fragile, and you just have to change that, because zirconium is really not fragile, and I'll go into that later. I'll just bring up one thing that is rather particular with zirconium dioxide. The zirconium dioxide is stable with it, and this is how. When you heat the zirconium dioxide, the crystals take a crystal form which is cubic, and hence rather small. And then when it gets cooled down, you heat it up to above 2,000 grams Celsius. I'm sorry, I don't know this in Fahrenheit, but you have to change that. No, okay. Fahrenheit is more. And when you cool it, it changes the form of the crystals and becomes bigger. Now, if you add ytterbium dioxide 3% to this crystal mass, the small form remains when you cool the zirconium dioxide. So it stays small crystals. And when in the future the ceramic begins to crack, the crack in the crack way, the crystals pops and leaves this big leave this small crystal form and turns the normal big form, and hence they close the crack and it repairs itself. That's the magic thing about zirconium dioxide. Apart from that, it cracks it's too hard to. It's really not that fragile. But in the long run, all ceramics are changes their ceramics like metals, and any material changes their values. So this is one way that zirconium dioxide repairs itself. I took this one from Portuguese.
Could you explain that again?
Oh.
You're telling me that the zirconium implant, if it cracks, that it's repairing itself. It has its own self-repairing mechanism?
Yes. That is, if it breaks, it doesn't. I'm not talking about it's breaking.
Break, yeah. Stress fractures.
Yes. I can. You can let. This is a zirconia implant, and you can try and break it if you want to test it. This is a zirconia implant, and also the instruments made of zirconia, and a crown and an implant joined together. I let this circulate, and these are instruments made of zirconia too, so you can have a look at what the material is like. Again, the small form, the cubic form, when it's heated up, it remains in the material thanks to the presence of ytterbium oxide. But when the crack comes in, the ytterbium oxide change zirconium dioxide pops and fills out the crack, and the crack stops. So that's a way of self-repairing. From a Portuguese work of two doctors, this photo is just to show what zirconium do on magnetic resonance field images. It turns out like metal. It scintillizes like this, and on X-rays the zirconium is absolutely white. It differs from titanium, which is lightly transparent, but zirconium absorbs every ray, so you'll have a white image. You can see that later. This is the first zirconium dioxide implant that Dr. Sandhaus has projected, and it was still on the market in the beginning of the 2000. It was one implant that you emerged under the gum, and then you reopened it the traditional way and cemented a post to it. And the material is still the same. The other zirconia implants are made of the same material. So there's nothing. The only thing that has changed is the form of the implants. So the weak point in this place is the post, the stick here that goes into a hole into the implant. His implants were made very, very precise. When you glued it or cemented it to the implant, it stuck very well. And if you were careful and got it down really leaning onto the implant very well and didn't leave space between it, there was no problem with it. If you have just a small separation between the post and the implant, that's where the weak point is, where you can the whole thing is not thicker than the thickness of the pin here. So that was the weak thing about this implant, that it was very sensitive to mechanics, how you used it. Of the ones that I've used, this has happened one time to me, that the implant that the post cracked, and I'll show you later how you repaired it. The new implants, if I may say so, doesn't have this problem. It's just one body, and you can see it from the implant that circulates. So I'm not a scientist. I don't do research. I lean on others and try to find out what's true, what is wise, and I try to inform myself. And I work very much in my studio. I'm a clinic dentist, but I try to bring out some scientific arguments in this presentation: the biomechanical properties, the bone integration, plaque affinity, general reaction around the zirconia, surface structure, material hardness, elasticity and flexibility, biocompatibility, toxicology and allergy and radioactivity. If there's any other arguments that you can think of, I'd be glad to answer these questions too, if I can, after the presentation. The zirconia, there are two different. You have to keep the names apart. This is zirconium ending with an M. This is an element. This is a metal, and it has number 40 in the periodic systems. So this is the metal, and it has all the metal qualities. It conduces electricity. It induces electricity if you move it in an electrical or magnetic field. It leaves electrons. It has a metal look, and it's a form. You can form it by heating it up. It becomes soft. This, like titanium, covers itself with a very strong oxide on the surface, and that's why it doesn't corrode very lightly, but it does corrode because it's a metal and leaves electrons, so it corrodes. This is not a metal. This is ceramic. This is the same material as that you have in the implants, in the instruments that goes around here. It's the same material. This is the zirconium dioxide, and it's called zirconia. Zirconia is the name of the ceramic, and you find it also in hip processes, in ear bones, when you substitute the small bones in the middle ear, are made of zirconia. Finger prostheses and so on. So there's a lot of. It's been used in medicine for many years. It's just recently that we start to use it in the dental world. So that's the difference. So when people say, "Hey, zirconia is a metal," no, it's not a metal. It's a ceramic, and the ceramic doesn't have any metal properties. It doesn't corrode. It doesn't lead or conduct electricity. It doesn't induce electricity when you move it in electrical or magnetic fields. It doesn't leave anything, electrons or anything. They're crystal forms, and it's very, very stable. It's also extremely resistant to strong acids and bases. Only hydrofluoric acid, which is used to engrave glass, for instance, or the aqua regia. I don't know what you call it in American, but that's 1 nitric acid and 3 parts of hydrochloric acid, which is the solution used to solve gold in. It also affects the surface of zirconia. It's also extremely heat resistant, and it's used in isolation in nuclear power centrals to separate, to impair the heat to come out. That's a Fahrenheit figure. There's not very much scientific things going on around zirconia, because zirconia implants, dental implants, the way you put it in, the way it behaves, the times to respect, the bone around the implant, and so on, it's just the same as you have for titanium implants. So the titanium implants has been researched for over nearly 20 years now. So you have a lot of protocols, also valuable protocols, that is exactly the same for zirconia. So you can, when you come to zirconia, the new researches would be around their biocompatibility and the strength and how much the implant itself can tolerate. But the rest is a lot of the research done for titanium is valid also for zirconia. So you have to respect the same things when it comes to times for let the implant in peace before you load it. Although you can also do immediate loading, but the protocol is the same as for titanium, obviously. The bone thickness around the implant should be the same. The only thing that differs is that the implant being one piece, there's a limit to how much you can angle it. If you put an implant in, titanium implant in, you can put it the way you like and then angle the post of it. So that's an advantage to the titanium implant. And that's why surely we'll see two-step implants in zirconia too in the future, where you have a post angle, so that'll make it easier to solve tricky problems. In the microscope, the bone attachment, the way the bone heals around the implant gives the same picture as you have thousands of pictures done with titanium implants. The bone integration is roughly the same. Some researchers have come to the conclusion that zirconia gives a little better result, but it's so small that it's practically in the general practitioner doesn't have any use of that. It doesn't give you. It's not because of that you choose to put in zirconia implants. You must also be aware of that many, not all, but many of the research done on zirconia is done by the producers of the zirconia, and there you have the biases, which is a big problem. You have to be able to read between the lines to be sure what the results are. This is my own picture. I showed you the case afterward. That's just about bone integration. This is immediate loading implant after an accident. The guy had his tooth fractured, and I took the rest of the tooth out and put this is Citalock implant, the biggest one, in, and you can see that. The alveole finishes here, and the rest is where I drilled and got bone out of from him, which I packed around the implant afterwards. And this is 6 months later. You can see that the bone is healed up to the connection where I put the zirconia crown on it, and the bone is healed very nicely. So the bone integration is a fact around zirconia implants.
Did you practice implant at the time of extraction of tooth?
I'm sorry? I'll show you immediately after this picture the whole thing. I don't know if you've seen the Brånemark first picture of how the osteoblast crawls on the surface of titanium, which was his ace of his life when he saw this picture. The bone integration of the titanium, and that's made the whole implant world start. So Professor Becker in Düsseldorf 3 years ago showed the same thing with osteoblasts creeping on the surface of zirconia, and others have too. So there again, the reaction of the bone on implant materials is rather alike, and you'll probably find the same thing whatever you put into the bone. Somebody said to me, well, you put anything into the bone and it sticks. And the bone is very, very kind to things. You can put in alloys, chrome, cobalt. Iron was used in the old days, for instance, but I think iron corrodes more. It should be non-corrosive or low-corrosive alloys that you could use as implants. But of course, that's not the whole truth. You have to choose something that doesn't do anything to the rest of the body. Jan is a hockey player in Colorado. He's a Swede, but he lives there for many years. Playing hockey, I had one of his incisors fractured, and he came to me with a plastic tooth on it. You can see the fracture line is here. And so I took the rest of the root out and drilled out to the height, to the size, the length of the implant I wanted. Because this is a Zetalok instrument, which is the drill is of zirconia. I gathered the bone, I put the implant in, and packed bone around it. Then I sliced the surface in order so it didn't touch the teeth under in the underjaw, to go clear of that. And fixed, and this is the first X-ray. And to protect this tooth, which is the problem with zirconia implants, how do you protect it when it's put in? Because obviously it's better if you don't touch it, like the titanium implants, which you embed and then leave it for 3 or 4 months before you reopen it. You can't do that with zirconia. You have to protect it from the beginning, or at least see to that it doesn't get too disturbed. And with the new era of immediate loading, which is probably going a bit too fast for my taste, but anyway, you can do a lot more with immediate loading. That shows that if you have optimal conditions around an implant, you can load it immediately, and that is in favor for the zirconia implants. So, but waiting for that, you can do various things. To Jan, I made what do you call this? Splint? A splint, removable splint that he used when he was. He should use it when he was eating, and he should use it all the time. In fact, which he didn't, because he didn't fancy it. And no, sorry. This is what it looks like. I put some composite on the inside to make it aesthetically more acceptable. But this is what it looks like when he came back to me. He hadn't used it. He had used it for some days, and then he just walked around like this, and he was quite happy. So he went back to Colorado. somebody living in Colorado, I think Hal is over here, isn't he? Anyway, he came back after 6 months and had the crown made. And this is the new X-ray of the bone integration. So it went well, and he's restored. It's very important where you put the implant. Like I said before, you have to respect the same protocol as for other implants. You got to have sufficient bone on. On the outside, that's probably on the outside of the implant, you have to have sufficient bone, because if you have too little bone, the bone will retract, and hence also the gum will retract. So you have this aesthetic problem, and also not too close to the adjacent teeth. The distances here that you have to respect is the same as an ordinary surgical protocol. If you have too little bone, or if the bone is very thin, you can do like this. You put, you drill the hole, and then you use expanders. I use a set of 6 expanders with very simple things. They look like implants, just that the first one is very thin, and then the grows thicker and thicker. So you screw it in. The threads are you say spiral or thread? What do you say? Spirals. The spirals are very, they are not very close. It's very wide.
A coarse thread.
Yes, a coarse thread. And it makes it easy to screw in, and then you change to a bigger one until you have reached the size of the hole slightly smaller than the implant. And it also gives you a perfect control over the bone, so it doesn't crack, or if it cracks, you can stop there before it so don't get the sequestered before it breaks. That's right. So I find that's the easiest. You can also make this. You cut and you bend and so on. That's much more. It's much more difficult, and it's easy to have in success with that technique. But this technique has never failed to me. It's simple and it leaves you room enough for rather big implants on bone that is very thin. This is the thickness of the bone. The surface of the implant, of the zirconia implants, are close to the surface of the titanium. It's found out that it's a mechanical, mainly a mechanical question, how the bone integration goes on. And the neck of the implant is polished, and that favors the growth of gum on the surface. So the difference between titanium post and the upper part of the zirconia implant is that the gum around the titanium closes in a way that is, if it's optimal, if it's clean and so on, it closes rather good. But on the zirconia surface, the gingiva, the gum, attacks on it. It doesn't leave a pouch, and it grows too. And I'll show you how you have to take it away before you take your impression and so on. But the surface of the implant depends. The bone integration is mainly a structure problem, and there's constantly developing new way of treating the surfaces so it could grow faster, and the bone integration could be safer and grow faster. So that's a future thing. The plaque affinity is, if you look at the zirconia, this is the implant, and here's where the crown starts. And you can do this. This is a small bridge with a Pontic lever, cantilever, on the side, and a big opening between the two implants, so that they're easy to clean. And it's really easy to keep clean, because on the surface of the zirconia, the plaque doesn't grow very much. You have the difference between titanium and zirconia that's showed in various scientific works, where on the metal surface of titanium you have a plaque growth that is close to what it does on a normal teeth, but on the zirconia it's just it just doesn't grow that much. It's easy to keep clean, and the difference is really you can see it. It's visible. That's a big thing clinically. Elastic fibers grow on the surface of the collar. This is part of the collar part of the zirconia implant. This is a tooth number 21. And this is an implant I put in February, and on June the same year, the gum was like this on the same implant. I'm sorry for the quality of some of the pictures, but by the way, you see that the patient has already gone home, so you can't take it again. But you can see that the implant, it grows like a tent around the post here, and
Because there's no temporary crown.
yes, Bredent has produced a temporary crown that goes down on the post to keep the gingiva from attacking to the post.
You can make your own custom
Yes.
healing cuff, really. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Too.
what should. Yeah.
If you have it in the front, for instance, and choose to make a temporary crown on it, you avoid this. But it's not a problem. To me, it's still a thing that's positive.
It would seem to me better to put the temporary crown on when you do it surgically and create it.
Yes, because you get a nice.
Gingiva like
Yes,
an ovate ponic.
that's right. You can form it the way you.
And then you avoid the second surgery or minimize it.
Underneath it looks. Anyway, it's all normal. This is the same post. And I talked about the surface structure, which is roughly the same of zirconia and titanium. This implant does bone condensation without further instrument because of its threading. It has a double threading for position of the implant. It gives you fewer turns and gives you an optimal distribution of the forces. These are some of the various implants that we have. The first one, which is the Insermed. This is Dr. Sandhaus implant. The material is all the same. This is the Citalock 3, which you were presented out in the vendor's room up till yesterday. Oh, you have it here too. And White Sky is another one, Bredent, which I also use a lot. And this is another by Zirc. It's under development. So I talked about this difference between zirconium and zirconia. Zirconia should not be used for the implant. The name is zirconia. So technically, it's a zirconium dioxide, and you find it zirconium. You find it in the row where titanium is 22, zirconium is 40. Then you have hafnium, which is number 72 here, and yttria, which is beside the zirconia. Hafnium is a bit particular. If you come across it and you find, well, there's hafnium in the zirconia. Yes, that's right. You'll find small traces of hafnia because hafnia is so similar to zirconium that it's practically impossible to separate from it. It doesn't do anything, and you'll find it in very small quantities, much less than 1%. So it's not considered a problem. It's not considered at all. And the other one, ytterbium, you have a controlled lot of ytterbia oxide of the yttria, the yttria oxide mixed to the zirconium to have this particular self-healing character. All ceramics are principally metal oxides, but transformed to an oxide, the metal loses all the metal capacity, as I told you. And there's also a difference between available and stable oxides. For instance, titanium oxide is available, and zirconium oxide is stable. That's perhaps why titanium oxide is causing problems, not only around the implants, but also as an ingredient in a lot of pills. Everything that has to be white, food, medicine, and so on, has probably titanium oxide in it, and that causes a lot of reactions to a lot of persons. And nowadays it should be marked on the label if it consists of titanium oxide. So you have to see what it is, if it is an oxide or a metal, or what it is that you have. For instance, sodium is a metal and chlorine is a poisonous gas. Together they form natrium chloride, which is salt, essential for our body function. And salt has no quality in common with its constituent parts. So in an ongoing research in Italy, analyzing the comparative deformation, relative forces and stress concentration using pieces of pure titanium and zirconia with identical one-piece forms, put in evidence how the higher grade of stress absorption on behalf of the zirconia possibly saves the prime stability between the cortical bone and the implant, conducting the forces deeper into the bone, where the trabecular bone with its biophysical characteristics managed to distribute the stress forces. This is an ongoing research, and they just land with this photo and the results up to now around it. So there's research ongoing around zirconia. Then you have a lot of numbers around the properties of zirconium dioxide. You can see that the hardness, Vickers hardness 1200, the pressure resistance is over 2000 megapascal, and bending resistance nearly 1000 megapascal, and tear resistance 210 before it cracks. The X-ray density gives a complete contrast, which you have seen on the photos, and it's a very high wear resistance, and the corrosion resistance is absolutely it's nearly zero. It doesn't corrode because it doesn't leave electrodes. This is the failure I talked about in the beginning, where one of Sandhaus, the Insermed implants, post cracked. So I drilled for more than an hour using nearly 10 diamonds to drill up a hole in the implant, trying to have any of you drilled or drilled in zirconia? Yeah, you know what's like. drilling an old post out of a tooth is nothing. It's really tough. But then when you have your depth, I cemented a fiber post made of zirconia fibers, and then the rest of the post I formed with composites and could put a new crown on it, and it's still there. So nothing happened to the implant. It was the abutment that got lost. We have a various use in dental industry for zirconia. The Zeta systems, the Zeta systems make a beautiful set of instruments, which is the scalpel, which unfortunately you can see it on the photo. It's very thin here and it cracks easily. But before it cracks, it cuts marvelously. And the thing with the cutting edge of zirconia, it never gets dull. It stays in a way that the metals never do. I've used the drills, for instance, that you have to change it after a while, but those those have the small drill in the small transparent box. You can take out the round drill and feel how sharp it is. And it has been used many times, but it doesn't lose its cutting edge, and that's a fantastic material. You also have this scolatore, I don't know what you call it in English, where you pull away the periost from the bone.
Periosteal elevator.
Periosteal elevator, very good. And this is a tweezer, keeps the flap and the drill, and the drill that makes the hole in accordance to the size of the implant. Then you put the implant in with, I don't use irrigation. Huh? Irrigation, thank you. I don't use irrigation or drills with holes in it that takes away all the blood. I go down with a pilot drill at about 150 rounds per minute. And even that is a bit it warms up the bone around it, but it's so thin, so when you come in with the second drill, this one, you take that bone away, and drilling slowly with this drill, I go in at I never exceed 70 rounds per minute, and with 70 rounds per minute, you have the blood coming all the time, and it doesn't burn the bone, and the whole thing heals marvelously afterwards. But because there's no burned bones, they have to be taken away first and then reconstructed. Like if you go with 1,200 rounds or 800 rounds, that you see the big guys that shoots in 10 implants in a quarter of an hour. You have to have the speed up too. But if you do slowly, there will be very little pain afterwards, and it doesn't swell. So this is a strong recommendation. My first outfit, of course, was this irrigation set, but I dropped that 6 years ago, and I'll never do it again. I wanted to bleed. I wanted to be fresh, sound blood that helps to heal. If you have them various, when you put it in, this lady it's in the it's a 14. It's the first molar on the left side. But she has a smile that goes from ear to ear, so she didn't want to just this bony-like tip to stick out. She wanted a tooth, so I made splints like the separator, you call that, or thing that keeps us. Huh? Yes.
Unilateral partial denture or Nesbit.
Nesbit, yes, and with the composite in it, and so you protect the implant, but you should leave it open, very open on all sides, so you can clean it. If you go too close to it, there will be difficulties to clean it, and then you have the bacteria and plaque formation and so on. So protect it with the surface, but leave it open, especially on the inside, so the patient can, with water or a toothbrush, clean it. Well, we talked about the toxicity, and it's probably that the titanium oxide is potentially toxic because it's available and salts, and the stable metals like above all zirconium oxide is bound in a highly stable crystal structure, so it doesn't leave anything, and hence it should not be toxic. The processing of zirconium is the ground substance is sand that you find in Brazil, Florida, and Australia mainly, and that is polluted with uranium and thorium, which are radioactive. So before you go on, you take away the uranium and thorium in the process, and then you have a heating process where it's stabilized with yttrium, and then you have a sintering process of purified ceramic powder, and then with a hot isostatic post-compaction, the process gives zirconia, which is the material for the hip prostheses for domestic use, and dental implants, ear implants, and fingers, and so on. So it's a very complicated process, but in the product itself is not radioactive, and I'll come to that in the end. It's taken away. Oh, it comes up here. I don't always believe what everybody says, so I sent various implants, titanium implants and ceramic implants of various productions to the Swedish authorities that controls radioactivity in all medicine products. That's a very serious institute. It's one of the Swedish institutes that I trust, and they gave me back confirmed that the Zirconia implants has everything has radioactivity. Our bones are radioactive, the earth is radioactive, and it's also traceable. This is a parenthesis. The guys that built the Stonehenge construction in England, they found the bones from them which are of the same frequency that people living in Austria. So they probably came over from there and made the... anyway, bone, even if it's very old, is still radioactive, and you can't get rid of that. But do I have to make a pause? No, okay. 30 minutes. Okay. So it's 100 of the allowed radioactivity in 1 liter of drinking water. So it's really you don't have to be afraid of that. This is the and it's not you can't read it, but I got it in original here if you want to. Her dentist, when she was 8-9 years old, told her mother that he had to take out the milk tooth, the lateral up here, and her mother said, "Well, she's already dropped that. This is a new tooth." "Oh no, I know milk tooth when I see it, but aren't you going to take an X-ray to make sure it's not the permanent tooth?" No. And so he took it out, and oops, it was the permanent tooth. So her mother didn't want any metal construction, so she had a plastic thing made to keep the hole. And when her daughter was 19 years old, she heard of, she didn't want to put in a metal implant. She's very well informed, the mother, and she heard that I was doing zirconium implants, so this was in the beginning. So she called me, and I put one of Sunhouse implants into the in the place. So over here, and this is the only X-ray I have from that first time. But I've made it go up to the nose, the cavity of the nose, and then I cemented the post on it and made a crown in zirconia. This is what it looks like now. You can see the gum is has a rosy, nice color. This is what it looks like 7 years after. And what is this? The patient. Okay. Sometimes when the bone is a little less than the amount you need, you can push yourself up into the sinus. This is probably the limit of pushing, but it healed and nothing went wrong. I'll show another way of using the sinus, which is Meisinger in Germany makes a tool which is very nice to use. This is the patient where you have the canine and the bone to put an implant in here, and this is what I put it in, and you can see the mucosa of the sinus is slightly elevated just by pushing my way up. And then you drill a hole for at the size of the implant. It's about 4.5 millimeters, and you drill the hole up to when you come to the cortical part of the sinus, and then this pushes up the bone to the tap to open into the sinus. And this gadget is a double tube, where the inner tube is a plastic tube that ends with a small balloon, a rubber balloon, the size of a few millimeters, and it's green. Connected to the syringe, where I fill with contrast fluid, and then you slowly enter the liquid into the tube and blow up the balloon, and the balloon, being under the mucosa of the sinus, lifts it up slowly. I think you should. Yes, it does show. I don't know can you see the mucosa strand here goes over like this, and then you take out the liquor and take out the tube, and you have the hole into the sinus with a collapsed mucosa top of it, but it's detached from the bone, so you can go and fill up whatever you like inside, and the only thing you have is a small hole here which you can easily close and leave it for, let's say, 6 months or so, and then you can reopen it and do your implant easily. It will I gain normally 1 centimeter up to 50 millimeters in this way, and you can also you can do it in various places, and this is an alternative to sinus lifting, which is it's not complicated, but it's much more stressing for the patient, where you make a big flap and take away the bone and pushes in the mucosa and so on. This way you can, and it's also quicker, and it's a very elegant and nice way of doing sinus lifting.
Did you say you can elevate 1 centimeter?
Excuse me?
Did you say you can elevate a sinus flow 1 centimeter?
Yes, up to the highest I've done was 50 millimeters.
That's a lot.
So if you have, you must have a bit stable 3-4 millimeters bone is advisable. But then if you do like this, you gain 1.5 centimeters in height. Some protection factors of the implant. This is what we talked about before. You have to leave the post alone. This is Zeta Systems, one of their hints. If you have teeth and the front with implants, you can do a partial this way, which are hollow on the inside, which leaves free space for the implants. Another thing that I use a lot is the Valplast or Sunflex, which is an island. You're familiar with that in here, but in Europe we don't know about it. It's very new. This is one case. You have the canine and the first molar. No, the first premolar and the first molar. And when it's covered, this is what you have, and it protects on the inside. On the inside, it's hollow and gives room for the implants naturally. You can also do a direct splint with. When you put in the implant, you cut it to have the length that you want, and then I use. This is a singer, and she was very. She was very particular, and so I took away filling she had on the second molar, and used her teeth for splinting with threads. That is glass fiber and composite flow. So this is partially leaning on the implant, but the two teeth on both sides are stabilizing the whole thing. And I left the splint is open on the inside, so she could easily keep it clean. And she was very satisfied with that solution. Another one, which is I'm going on right now, she's had an accident and lost her 2 front teeth and had a bridge made from lateral to lateral. So she had a lateral teeth, and I'm sorry, I'll come back to that later. This young girl was never born with her permanent teeth, so having Maryland on keeping the space, she's now reached 18 years old, so we can put in Zirconia implants. This is a Swedish girl. She's had an accident too with a horse that kicked out her 2 front teeth, and I put in 2 Zirconia implants, and this is the day of the cementation. So this one has grown afterwards to very nice papillas between the teeth, and she's still riding. Another protection is the small. We call it flipper. Do you call it flipper too? Right. Flipper with you can drill a hole sufficiently big, and that will cover the tooth, the implant. This is normally it's nicer than this. This is just at the moment of I have it made in beforehand, and this is the moment of the surgery. So you have the stitches and it's swollen and so on. But then when it all comes down, you hardly see it. It's really transparent, and it's a very nice solution. This man, he's father of 2 boys and have 33 years old, and he's got his 2 milk teeth, the canines still, and no permanent teeth. So taking them away, and there was hardly any roots left. So this was ideal for transmucosal implant. You have the flat bone with no surprises, and you drill it in, cut it, and this is what it looks like immediately after the insertion. And he said that's better than the teeth I had, so I don't care for any temporaries. And what you can see when you have the teeth, the implant protected with teeth on both sides, and when you chew, you don't touch it. You just stay away from chewing bones and walnuts and heavy caramels. This implant heals rather silently. On the other side, same thing. This is what it looked like a few weeks afterwards, and this is crowned, 2 crowns here and there. This has nothing to do with the implant. This is more the solution with all ceramics, because we're also looking for to any price avoid putting metals in the patient's tooth. And when you come to large bridges on few posts, you up to now you have to lean on metal structures. That's the only thing that stands. The new thing is not that new. It's 10 years old. It's called bioglass, which is a small post that leans directly on the surface of the gingiva under a long span between two teeth. This is one example. He's got 2 molars and 2 canines, and the construction made is in all ceramic in Zirconia. The whole bridge in one piece. I try to avoid to connect the left side to the right side because of when you respire, the bones should be able to move, but sometimes you just have to do it. And this is a case where you have no choice. You see the burn mark on the model. That is where the bioglass comes in. There's a little dot of glass that the technician heats and puts on the model, and then he uses it as a post to make the rest of the job, and it fits exactly into the place where the span is very long between the canine and the molar. That's a way to avoid implants, and the result is very nice. Apart from everything being in ceramic, it's beautiful. The new ceramic with the bridges you do, the crowns you do. I haven't made crowns with metal crowns for 10 years now. The first long bridge I made was 8 elements. I made that in 91. And the technician said, "You can't do that." "Yes, you can. You can do it." I'll cement it. And it was on the premolar to the canine on 4 posts, so it was equally divided. But it was made in this in-ceramic, which is the melted glass structure dip. But it's still there, and I was very proud of my long bridge. This is a lady that had metal bridges, and she couldn't sleep at night. She was shaking. She was really disturbed by these metal ceramic bridges that the dentist had made for her. So I took them out and drilled my holes, put in the implants on both sides. She had teeth until the canines on one side and the second molar on the other side, and made the bridges in zirconia with ceramics on it. And this is what she looks like now. We have the firm solution of own teeth because she paid for them, and you don't have to. She doesn't have to take it out in the night. In the front region, it's more delicate. You have to make sure that you have sufficient bone and
So what did you do with that? Go back a slide, please.
uh-huh.
So when you have a show through like that, do you pack
Yes.
anything up there? Do you put some?
Yes, if I have to, if I see that it's too little, I just put bone under it and close the flap and let it stand. I think I have this on another slide. But if it's too little, this case you could. It's not as little as it looks like. This is the shovel of the bone. This is where this is the horizontal part, and this is the vertical part. See what I mean? I don't have the first slide. She had a very ugly crowns on this front teeth, and her husband was just he told me a few weeks after, and I got my wife back. He was so happy, and also in a case like this, I'll leave it like that. I just tell the patient to be careful, chew on the other side, because anything you put on top of it jeopardizes the cleaning moment. I mean, there's nothing that's so easy to keep clean as two posts sticking out like this. If you can leave it like this, and tell the patient not to chew on it, not to touch it with the tongue. Talk to the tongue and say to leave it alone, also when you sleep. That is the best thing. And I don't have had any...
Have you ever tried like a suck down split that you would put like just on the two opposite teeth so it could protect it during the day? Just take it in and out.
Oh, yes, that would be the...
Like a bleaching tray?
Yes.
Cut it.
No, I haven't tried, but that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody see the cavitation to the left of that first implant? Anybody see it? That's a problem. Right to the left of the first implant. A little over, Bobbie, a little to the right.
Right there.
Okay, now go down. There we go, there's the baby.
Here.
Yes.
This is... oh, yes. Yeah, I see it. Yes, now I see it. This is the one. As big as that.
Could be condensing those guys.
That whole thing over here.
That's nice.
There's another use of zirconia where you can avoid metal. This is made on titanium implants, but you can surely make it on zirconia implants too. And also the overdenture caps. If you can use all the rubber things, but you can also make the telescope. You call it telescope capsules in ceramic inside the prosthesis. And I also made attachments in zirconia where prepared two teeth on both sides in the underjaw to carry an acrylic, acetalic partial, and so this is the precise attachment that corresponds to the female part in the process. This man had great difficulty chewing on his right side, so I put down 2 implants in the underjaw and 3 in the upper jaw. Same sitting. I was up in Sweden doing this job, and I have to use a short one in the last part here. And this is what it looks like. When it closes, they are, I didn't have to cut them, I could use the full length of the post. And in this case, I also left these without any protection because he swore that he wouldn't touch them. And he now have I've only seen, this is the last picture I've taken. His dentist has she's made a bridge on the upper side and the bridge in the underjaw. So he's healed and happy today. This man came into me with this bridge made of, he's had it for more than 20 years. It was made in gold and acrylic, the gold and acrylic bridge. And he came because the sixth tooth here was infected, so I took it out. This is taken immediately after the sixth, so the bridge just leaned on the second molars. And it has never dropped during these more than 20 years. It's functioned very well, but he wanted to change it because he thought it was ugly. It wasn't that very nice piece of cake, so I changed it for him. But it's marvelous how some dentists have the guts to do things and get paid for it. So thank you for your attention.